Hi, graphic design. Welcome back. We are in tutorial 4. So for this tutorial, we're going to have a little bit of fun, and we are actually going to combine a lot of the things that you've learned in previous tutorials, but we're going to combine them and add in a few new things to be able to create your own double exposure, which is a really sweet effect that you could potentially use in your project next week. So it's a good thing to practice. So follow along with this tutorial, and then by the time you're done, you should be able to submit your own double exposure. So first thing, getting started, always same thing, open up a blank document, make sure you're in the essentials, and you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and I am going to put this off to the side to make sure I'm following along with what is in that slides, and I'm just gonna go ahead and I already have Photoshop with the new document, and I pasted an image on there. So I actually place embedded file, place embedded an image right here. So the first image that you want to embed is going to be some kind of portrait, okay? This is going to be a portrait that's going to be the main focal point of your double exposure, and then what you'll do is you'll take either some kind of background, pattern, landscape, and that will fade into this portrait. And so my thought was to have a little bit of fun with this. I have this photo of Bob Ross that I found, and since this is practice, I don't have to worry about copyright or anything. So I love Bob, and I like this photo of him and his little raccoon friend because he used to always take care of wildlife that needed a little extra help. And so I decided this would be a great one to use, and I'm going to fade a landscape that looks like something he would paint into this image of him and his raccoon. Okay, so I have added my Bob. Next thing I want to do is I want to make it just fill this space. So when you add it, you can either just go ahead and adjust it now, or if for some reason you've gotten off of it already, then it's Control T. We'll get back to where you can free transform and make it fill that space. Looks good. When you are all done, you're just going to press enter. Okay, and so now I have my first layer. If I look over here, mine's already called Bob because that's how it was when I put it in, but we're good to go. If yours isn't labeled, then make sure you double click here and you label it, okay? Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I need to select Bob and the raccoon because I'm trying to separate him from the background. Now, this is something that you did whenever you were creating a new background for your layer tutorial, but I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna do it the quick way because it's gonna end up fading into the background, so I don't need to do all the fancy stuff. I'm just gonna go to my quick select like I did last time. Make sure I'm clicked on this. Okay, quick select, and then I'm gonna let it do some of the work for me, and I'm gonna click the select subject. So it should do a lot of that work. There we go. It did all right, but oh no, I'm losing some of my friend here. So to get this friend back, I'm gonna come up here to the plus. I'm gonna make sure my brush is about the right size, maybe a little bit bigger. And I'm going to click and add back some of that raccoon, but I also do not want some of this. Like, I don't want this in between part. So I'm going to go to the minus, I'm going to scale it down, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to minus whatever I don't want. Okay, now this doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to end up being a little bit fuzzy when I'm done, and that's totally fine, but this should work. Okay, another thing I can do is I can go into select and mask, which is something that we did in the last tutorial, and I can like adjust the radius a little bit, so that kind of gets rid of this darker edge. Oh, I noticed that I lost some of him right there. So as long as I am in that quick select, I can add, here we go. I can add a little bit of him back. There we go. He's back. Oh, and I don't want that right there, so I can go back to my minus. This is a great way to just make any adjustments. I can feather out that edge a little bit as well. So I can do it right here and feather it out. I'm just kind of playing a little bit to see if I can get a little better outline, but I think this is pretty good. Once you're done, just click OK. And so you still have that area adjusted. Another way to feather it out is just to right click and click feather. And then that's going to give you this little feather selection and you can adjust it. I want it at 0.5, so it's just getting a softer edge. So I am okay and good to go. All right, so I have Bob and his little raccoon friend. We're going to call the raccoon friend Rick. I don't really know, but I think it was probably Rick. So Bobby and Rick are now selected. Now what I need to do is I have a couple options. I can do a layer mask to make the entire background masked so you don't see it anymore. Or another way to do that is to click Control J. And what that does is it creates a brand new layer of just whatever you're selected on. Okay, so kind of a fun, different way to do it, then you don't have to deal with the mask itself. Okay, so if I'm using that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of the eye on my other full Bob so that all I can see is my new layer. That's Bob with no background, which is exactly what I want. Then what I'm going to do is I want to desaturate this layer because currently it's very colorful. And in order for this to work and so that the background colors aren't blending in with the pigment in his skin and his hair, I really need to make one of them more black and white. So I'm going to make him more black and white and keep like the naturey colors of the background later. So to do that, I have to make sure I'm in the right layer. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this one just Bob and Rick, right? Because I named him Rick too. So I'm still in that layer. I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and I'm going to come down to Desaturate. So that's basically going to turn it black and white, and it's going to get rid of those brighter colors. Looks good to go. Then what I'm going to do is I'm ready to add my background, okay? So to add my background, once again, I can just go to File, Place Embedded, and I'm going to find whatever I want to use, and I'm going to use this mountainous range that I've actually saved from unsplash.com. I'm going to place, and that creates a new layer. If I need to, I would click on this and label it, but it's already labeled mountains. So I'm good to go. At this point, I want to make sure that it's the right size and it's positioned correctly with Bob. So I want to make sure that like the mountains are in his hair and everything the way that I want it to look. So I am going to select this. I'm going to make it so that it fills up that whole space. In fact, I think I want more of the mountainous range. Then I'm going to come over here to the right layer option, and I'm going to drop down the opacity to about 50%, which is going to allow me to see through to where Bob is, so I can kind of make adjustments. So like if I want the mountains to be more in his eyes or whatever, I can now see where everything is going to be placed. This is really important if you have like a specific area that you want to be exposed in your portrait. But I kind of like the way that the mountainous range is like masking his eyes. So I'm going to leave it right here. And I'm going to go ahead and put that opacity back up all the way because now I know that it's in the spot it's supposed to be. And then I'm going to press enter. and I should be good to go. I have my mountains now on top. Okay, so that is all about just aligning your images. Next, I need to make the background image the same shape. So I need to make this landscape the same shape as Bob and Rick. Okay, I don't want to have like the background all the way around. So here's a fun way to do it. What you're gonna do is while you're clicked in the background, so I'm on that mountainous layer, I am then going to hold down the control key, and then notice it gives me this like little square that has like these little clipping marks around it. That's good, that's what I want. I'm going to then click on whatever has the shape that I want. So the Just Bob and Rick has the right shape, so I'm going to click on that. And what it does is it takes that shape and it outlines it onto whatever layer you were on. So I was on the mountain one. That's what I want, okay? Then I want to separate that and mask out the background. So I've got the main part selected, and I'm going to come down here to my layer mask, and I am going to add a layer mask. Beautiful. So now I have a mountainous range in the shape of Bob and Rick. Perfect. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin blending this into the image of Bob and Rick. Okay. So what I can do is I can lighten it. So I can go up to over here in the layers, I can click on normal, and I can go and I can do a lot of different really cool things with this. I'm going to click lighten, which is going to automatically start adjusting some of this for me. And then I'm going to pull that opacity down. Okay, and so I'm going to kind of play with the opacity to get it about where I want it to be. This looks pretty cool. Kind of like that, where I can still see a lot of him, but the mountainous range is coming through. If you don't like the lighten, I don't know if I'm in love with the lighten right now. You can play with some of these other options, or you can just do like normal, like you see here. You could do, some of these are pretty cool. The lighten works pretty well on most of them, but honestly, I think I'm not going to do the lighten part for mine. I'm just going to leave it normal, and I'm pulling down that opacity, so I am good to go. Then I am going to, I'm almost done, but the background looks kind of funny because it's just white right now. So I want to make it like a little bit more of a finished product. So I'm going to show you how to change the background color. So I'm going to press enter to be done with this part. And then I am going to come up to layer. I'm going to do new fill layer. I'm going to click on solid color. It gives me this and says, okay, you're creating a new layer. That's great. This is the new background. I'm going to click OK. It's automatically putting it on top, which is not what I want. So I'm going to, but I need to make this so that it is the color of Bob. So, oops. And see, that wasn't what I wanted because I want that layer to come down here. So I'm actually gonna, I clicked off of that. I forgot to tell you, make sure you're clicked down here so that you can still get back in and get a color. So let's try that again. Make sure you're clicked down here. Now click layer, new fill layer, solid color. Now this is my background color. Click OK. This is what I wanted so that it's falling behind or underneath those other layers that I already made. And now if you go over here to the eyedropper, it'll let you select different parts to be able to recreate those colors. So you can now play with it until you find one that you like. I think I like a darker gray. Yeah, that looks good. And then click OK. And here we go. Okay, and so we're finally done. At this point, there are some other things you could do. You could go in here and play with your layer mask to make things pop up more or less. You could make it so that Bob like kind of blends more into the background. But overall, this looks pretty good. This is a nice double exposure. So when you are all done with these steps on your double exposure, make sure you take a snip of it and you post that to the assignment. Here is what your assignment looks like, so you can see. It's not popping up right there, but here is what it looks like for you. So you are going to just paste that image on there. You don't even have to talk about it because I think the double exposure talks for itself. If you have any questions at all, make sure you get a hold of me. You can email me at any point, or you can pop into my office hours. And yeah, good luck. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Have a great night.